building dams, if you're advocating for us to go into more dams and looking at the sustainability and the longevity that it will give us as a country, what would you be saying? And can it also, is it feasible to also have it in other parts of the country, other geopolitical zones like south and maybe in the Niger Delta?
Believe me, if I were to advise the federal government, I would tell them to invest heavily in hydroelectric power generation.
Why hydro?
We have the Mambila Plateau coming up, large capacity power generation, 2,600 megawatts, between 2,600 and 2,900. That's substantial. That is like you are putting in medium size, about 6 or 7 thermal plants together. Now you have Zungeru, 700, 800 megawatts. I mean, and one thing about hydro really is that after the construction of the dam, you can put it on autopilot.
Yeah, but some people are saying that we should resist that urge to centralize or concentrate generation in one source. Yes, you argue that
yes, let's diversify.
It is cheaper, but concentrating
in the long run.
on the long run, but concentrating so much, and then it's for the long term as well. With the way Nigerians need power, we want it now. That's it's a now thing.
But you see the problems of thermal power generation.
Yeah.
Like Ahmed mentioned the other time, if this PIBB is not passed, so that we have investors that would come and invest in the infrastructure, I mean gas infrastructure, then we haven't achieved anything. Let me give you an example of what I said the other time. I don't see any wisdom of having a gas plant in Geregu, in Kogi State. I don't see the wisdom in having gas plant in Omotosho or these areas. If I were a government, I would have put those gas plants in either Escravos or what do you call this place now? Bonny, close to where the gas is
available.
But these are political citations. Well, if there's any word like citation in this context. Because for you to construct gas pipeline to Kogi State, or for you to construct gas pipeline to Kaduna State, just to feed in a 300 megawatt or 400 megawatts thermal plant. To me, it's just...
It doesn't make plenty of sense.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, to me.
But the thing is, even if you generate so much wherever it is you generate it, you still have to wire down, you know, to these areas where the electricity is needed, wouldn't you?
Precisely. But then that's where the federal government, or the last government, and I believe this government will continue in the transmission.
Not just in the transmission now, you're also looking at the creation of jobs. Because you also want some people to be able to, you know, ensure that they are able to benefit from the value chain.
What you told me was that Nigerians need that light now.
Yeah.
Let's have the light first, and the jobs will come. I mean, the jobs must not come only from electricity, the hairdressers, the mechanics. I mean, it's also job creation.
From what we have.
But what do you think?
From what we have presently.
Yes.
And maybe the potentials, can we generate, say, 20,000 megawatts in 4, 5, 6 years?
Well, you see, in hydro, what is important is availability of water and height. Those two components are very, very important. Therefore, it answers your first question. If we look at the geographical spread of Nigeria, yes, there are lots of water rivers in the south, but they don't have the height to give you, you know, you have to drop water at a certain height to generate. You understand what I'm saying? So it depends on how many rivers we have that have such potentials with cliffs.
Okay, so without political considerations, where is the best place if we intend to site any more hydro plants in this country?
There are lots of potentials in Plateau State. There are 28 rivers that have hydro potentials in Plateau State, out of which I have taken one to develop. Only one out of 28.
What stage are you with that?
We're into a PPP arrangement. So the federal government will develop, presumably will develop the reservoir, and we develop the downstream. That is the powerhouse, transmission, and the intake dam, and all the like. There are lots of potentials in the northern, especially the middle belt, and then you go to Mambila, where there are hills. But it takes a while too to do the necessary investigations and say, yes, this is the appropriate place to locate this thing and get this much power from there.
The privatization that happened, how close do you think it is to getting us to uninterrupted power supply?
Well, my candid advice is, let's start from the discourse. Discourse have a lot, to my own assessment, they have a lot of problems to go through. The first thing is that if you are not able to collect your revenue, then you are likely not in business. And I keep telling people that telecommunication, people were comparing electricity industry with telecommunications, and I said, no. I was in telecommunications, and I understand the difference.
And now you're into...
No, I'm into power now, so I understand the difference. Now in telecommunications, you have an air-conditioned room like this, and if you don't pay your bill, then your number goes off automatically, okay? But that's not the same thing with power. Power, you have to do external line plant. You either have to lay cables, either underground, or have overhead power plants, physically bring it down into a transformer, then into a house. But in telecommunication, you have a base station here, and then everywhere around here can pick up the signal. So you don't really need to spend that much in digging any floor or digging, yes, during NITEL those days. You can compare it with electricity, the same, because they have to break roads, lay cables, put a junction box, this, that.
Bring it directly to your home.
Precisely, but this one, you just pick up a signal. If you are within the vicinity, it is very difficult in electricity. And therefore, you find out that our discos, our distribution companies, have a lot of issues to handle, especially when the revenue doesn't come in. So they have to perfect their revenue collection system. Without that, I don't see them making much or modernizing the old networks that they've brought over.
You know, you also gave us some sort of projection the last time you were here about when we can begin to expect.
You don't forget. You don't forget things. Okay.
Give us another one this time, because I mean, there's a lot of change in approach. At least they intend to approach this headlong. What do you think will happen, and when can we, from your projections, when can we expect, say, uninterrupted power supply?
You know, I was very pleased when Mr. President received some Chinese delegates from a company called CGGC. I know the company. They generate 22,800 megawatts per day on a river they constructed, or they are the main constructors of the Three Gorge Dam in China. And if government with sincerity of purpose, which I believe this government will be very serious about, the Mambila Plateau project, adding 2,600 megawatts to what is existing now would be fantastic. Let the government address the issue of Zungeru as well. So if we are able to do, let's say, my own plant, Zungeru, Mambila in the next 2 years, then you can see a very substantial amount of megawatts will be injected.
The good thing is the government has said they will continue with
precisely.
the Mambila.
That's why I said I'm very pleased that Mr. President said they would continue with that. Believe me, if we develop the hydro portion of our power generation to complement what the gas power plants are doing now, then we have a good mix. Without having a good mix and the threats, well, I mean the uncertainties or sporadic nature of the today the gas pipe is cut, that in the Niger Delta, we probably would not achieve much. And let me just answer your question. I can see at least in the next 1.5 years, 2 years now, from now.
We should have something close to uninterrupted.
Yes, well, fairly comfortable that all of us will come here without dimmy eyes.
Fairly comfortable.
Yes.
That's being cautiously optimistic.
By my own assessment, next 2 years.
All right, Mr. Joshua Mokan, as the chairman, William Duncan Hydroelectric Company, thank you for coming on today.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me once more.
Yes, indeed. We'll be back after the break. Don't go away.